Hello everybody, my name is Emily. I live in Melbourne, Australia, and I am currently doing my life coaching certification with the Hungry for Happiness program, and starting in a week's time I'll also be doing my certification and to become a breathwork facilitator. And the reason and motivation behind creating these podcasts is to share everything that I'm learning and hopefully help you guys out in up-leveling your life, help, being able to add value to your life, hopefully by at least 20%, if we can add at least like 20% of value to your life every day or every time you listen to this podcast, then bloody hell, that would be amazing. Anyway, so in today's podcast and episode, this sounds so cool to say. I've been dreaming of saying this stuff. Anyway, in today's podcast, to start off this podcasting exciting journey, I will be talking about how to cope and deal with anxiety. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Anxiety. So every single person on the planet will experience anxiety in one way or the other at some point during their lives. Anxiety is normal, and it is something which is being more and more normalized, thankfully. Anxiety can be triggered through so many different ways, and for me, anxiety definitely got triggered by experiencing trauma throughout my childhood and my teenage years as well. I used to identify with being shy, which I discovered I'm not actually shy. I had anxiety about expressing my truest self. And anxiety is our body's reaction to a potentially stressful or harmful situation to us, or pretty much our response when we go outside of our comfort zone. So, but I know for a lot of us, especially in our current day, it's a lot more serious than just being anxious and having butterflies to do public speaking or go on a date and stuff. It's so much more these days, and we feel it on a real visceral level, and a lot of us identify with anxiety, and we just feel anxious all the time, whether that be anxiety around expressing yourself and letting your voice be heard, or anxiety just imagining the worst case scenarios to happen. There's all different forms of anxiety, and because this is my first time talking about it, I was going to try and jam pack as much in as I could, but for my first episode I want to try keep it more on the shorter side, and I'm going to try keep the points nice and compact, and just pretty much straight to the point. I'm going to try do for most of the things that I talk about, and then in future episodes, that's when I'll probably elaborate a little bit more, especially when people start to comment and reach out to me and let me know how you're feeling about all this. And please, I do encourage you to do so, because if you reach out to me and comment or message me, things like that, and tell me your story, tell me what you're going through, tell me the types of anxiety that you experience and how this affects your day-to-day life, then I will be able to address the most common or your type of anxiety more personally. And I'll be also speaking a lot out of my own experiences with anxiety as well. So anyway, going back to what I was talking about, so maybe your anxiety is causing you to stay up at night, imagining worst case scenarios, feeling like nobody likes you or that you're not enjoyable to be around. And maybe you've developed coping mechanisms to deal with this anxiety, which are actually very destructive and causing more harm than good for you. This might cause you to really hide in your shell and be afraid to really express yourself, and therefore this is destructive for your life, because by not expressing yourself, you're closing yourself to opportunities, and your life could be completely different if you weren't hiding in your shell. So this can be a very destructive coping mechanism. And then on the other side of that, it could be that you might act out with aggression, and you might get frustrated, and you might want to you might just get frustrated and you might yell and scream and maybe hurt someone or hurt yourself. So there's lots of coping mechanisms that we create in our body which is our body's way of trying to keep us safe. And this is very different from person to person, or this may come out through addiction, you know, like people who are addicted to alcohol and drugs. People don't just do that for the sake of doing it. It always stems from something, and there is always a reason behind why people do what they do. Even, I mean, it doesn't make what they do right or wrong, but there is always a reason when we look back. And also, maybe your anxiety is causing you to have panic attacks or anxiety attacks. And this is also very destructive on our nervous system as well. And it can be very, very scary. And I'm speaking from experience as well of having had panic attacks and anxiety attacks in the past. And I haven't had them often. I've probably had a panic attack 3 times in my whole life. And that was probably, you know, in very short periods of time when I was experiencing a lot of stress, or high level stress and trauma throughout a section of my life, which my body and my brain just deemed as too stressful to deal with. So therefore it comes out in this other way, and it is fucking scary. I know how it feels. It's like you lose all control of your body, because it's not you. Like, that isn't you acting that way. This is your body or your brain's reaction to try and keep you safe. And it can be extremely, extremely overwhelming. And maybe through feeling anxious, this causes you to have migraines, or, you know, it can make you quite sick to dwell and stay in this feeling as well. Anxiety is more than just feeling stressed or worried. It's definitely something you feel really deep within and that you can't control. So on that note, I feel like you should really have so much compassion for yourself, because this anxiety has stemmed from somewhere. And maybe even if you haven't gone through trauma in your life, there is such a thing where you can carry trauma from your parents or your grandparents. Like, this has been proved scientifically, where if your grandma or mum or grandfather or father experienced trauma which was unprocessed and carries anxiety, and, like, you know, had lots of anxiety attacks or whatever it was, that it can then be passed down through generations, which sucks. But still, you should give so much compassion. But please know that there is help out there, and it can be cured. Or because you feel like you've identified with anxiety and you experience anxiety quite regularly, this does not mean you are anxious and that you are untreatable or healable, and that this is just going to be your life forever, because it's not. Your life, you are not anxiety, and this will not be your life forever. It is changeable, and it is changeable in a natural way as well. You don't need to go on medication. I mean, I don't have anything against it. I was personally able to get out of anxiety without, I had to do the work and go really deep within. And to do the work means as well sometimes bringing up a lot of demons and bringing up a lot of suppressed emotions and experiences, and just bringing up old trauma to the surface and then allowing it to let it go, which is harder than it seems. It is easier said than done, but there are ways, and other people may not need to go through that, and other people might not have to bring all the hurt back up again. But there's definitely ways to process this anxiety and, you know, be able to heal yourself without going on meditation, without going on medication, and there is a more holistic way to really deal with this. And when I talk about a holistic approach, I don't mean by meditating, and I don't mean by, saging yourself, getting rid of the bad juju. Like, that stuff helps, and like getting crystals and stuff and putting crystals in your bra. I mean, they're great and I love them, and I definitely do all of that. But that is not, if you are dealing with anxiety and you do that stuff, expecting that to be your answer to remove all your problems, then you're only putting a band-aid on a bullet wound. And so what I mean by a more holistic approach was what I touched on just then, is by discovering where the anxiety lives in your body and discovering where this comes from. And like I said, it is hard work, and you really have to make a commitment to yourself to go through this. And I'll be talking about a few different ways in this podcast today on how to deal with that and cope with it and everything. But yeah, that is what I mean by holistic, a lot more than the crystals and woo-woo stuff also. And take everything I say with a grain of salt. I mean, all because I say it doesn't mean you have to do it. And if you don't do it, doesn't mean that you're not going to be healed, because every single person is different. And, you know, we're all going on a journey, and everyone's journey is very different. So a lot of people as well, when they start to experience anxiety, it might be in a low point in your life, and when things trigger it, you might feel like you're at a low point in your life, but through these low points come your greatest lessons. And breakthroughs and miracles have a tendency to come through the back door and disguise themselves as negativity and depression and anxiety and all these things. But really, it's our body trying to teach us a lesson. Every single bad emotion we have come through us is actually our body trying to tell us something. And behind what it is they're trying to say is a deep lesson that it's trying to teach us. So our brains are very habitual creatures, and our brains crave habits and repetition and the same stuff. So no matter who you are on this planet, if something new comes into your life, our brains are going to send out this little warning signal of like, no, this is potential danger. This can maybe not keep you, like this will not keep you safe, you know, and it is your brain trying to keep you safe and keep you within your comfort zone. Which is why a lot of people say when you break free out of your comfort zone and do like, you know, the one thing, if you just do little things each day to break free from your comfort zone, it will get easier and easier. But because our brains are so habitual and try to keep us safe, when you imagine a thought, whether it be negative or positive, or if you envision a situation or worst case scenario or best case scenario, whatever it is, your body and your brain is going to create supporting evidence to continue to feel the way you're feeling and give you supporting evidence as to why what you're saying is true. And we literally create a field around our body of bad energy. And this has been scientifically proven as well. And I first learned this in the book How to Become Supernatural by Joe Dispenza. It is an extremely good book. You will learn so much, so I definitely recommend that one on the to-read list. But yeah, he talks about how we create a field over our body and that our brain creates supporting factors. Here's a great example. When you wake up in the morning and, I don't know, you're tired, you go to the kitchen, you make your coffee, and then you might spill your coffee, and then straight away you're like, oh, fuck, it's one of those days. I can just feel it. It's got to be one of those days. Your brain subconsciously, not in your conscious mind, but subconsciously is going to continue to find supporting evidence and literally create situations that will support this. And, you know, then you might stub your toe, and you might then, you know, it might be a car accident and you're on your way to work, and then you're stuck in traffic for like an hour or 2 hours or something, and then you're late for work, and then your boss gets mad at you, and then all this stuff, you know, stuff will always happen, and your brain will continue to find supporting evidence to this. And yes, I'm putting it out there, like those situations can change. So instead, that could have been totally avoided, where it's like, if you spilt your coffee, it would have been like, shit, that sucks, that's annoying, but that's okay. I'm not going to let this ruin my day. What's something I can do in this moment to like enhance this moment to make it a bit better? Let's just laugh about it. I'm okay, I'm alive, I've got a roof over my head, I'm going to work, I'm fortunate enough to have a job, this is amazing. And, you know, just express gratitude and bring gratitude up in your day as well. Having anxiety removes yourself from the present moment, and which makes you become in your head. And when you become in your head and you're all within your thoughts, it is, you know, you lose mindfulness, you lose being present, you miss out on opportunities, and you're not seeing the real picture of what's in front of you. You're not seeing the grand scheme of things, because when once we get in our head, we become so tunnel visioned, and it is so hard to see outside of that. And how I was saying earlier is how like our brains find supporting evidence to what we say. So if you tell yourself, I have anxiety and I am anxiety, you are identifying with anxiety, but you are not anxiety. You are simply just experiencing the emotion and the feeling of anxiety, but you are not anxiety. And what we speak out into the universe and out loud, our brain, or even in our heads, our brain will store that in the back of our heads into our subconscious and then our superconscious. And through that, like I said, our brains will find supporting evidence. So if you're telling yourself, I'm anxiety, like, oh, I'm a really anxious person. I have social anxiety. I'm a shy person because of my anxiety, blah, blah, blah. Then your brain's just going to continue to say, okay, you're anxious. Well, I'm just going to continue to make you feel anxious. So the next time you're in a social setting or at a party or something, your brain's going to be like, oh no, like I don't want to be here. I can't talk to people. I'm not good at talking to people. I'm so awkward. Oh God, like this is scary. So when you start to reword the way you speak to yourself, and instead of saying, I'm anxious, blah, 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 stop identifying with the emotion and just say, okay. Instead, say, okay, I am experiencing anxiousness. I'm experiencing anxiety at the moment, but I am not anxiety. And then just start telling yourself things which you are. Or if you're feeling quite low about yourself at the time and you don't really believe of any positive aspects about yourself, what have other people told you that they really like about you? Just start saying that. Like if you are struggling to think of good things about yourself, say, okay, well, my friend said that I have a really beautiful smile and that I make her laugh and I'm funny. So I'm funny. Even though you may not believe it, like the more you say it, the more your brain will start to give supporting evidence as to why you're funny. And I think affirmations are great as well, but I feel like you really need to embody the affirmation for it to really work. Because if you're telling yourself, I'm funny, I'm happy, I'm this, I'm that, but you have no feeling behind it, then your brain's not going to believe it. So if that is the case, and another affirmation you can try, instead of saying I'm happy, I'm funny, but not believing it, you can say, I am in the process of becoming happy. I am in the process of becoming a joy to be around. I am in the process of being confident. Just start telling yourself this, that you're in the process of, and then your brain will continue to slowly start to believe it more and more. And then you'll find as the days go on, as the weeks and months go on, that every time you're in a social setting, if you feel like that you mostly struggle with experiencing social anxiety, then you might find, like, as the days and weeks and months go on, that it gets easier and easier and you're talking more and more and somehow you're making more and more friends. And trust me, this shit works. So do it, please. It is something which is so underrated and needs to be told. I feel like this stuff should be taught in schools. So yeah, so if you don't feel like you can embody and talk about, say, affirmations to yourself, then start with this. Just start by saying, I'm in the process of whatever it is that you want to be feeling. Another thing as well, which a lot of us tend to feel anxiety from, which I have definitely felt in the past, is when you get triggered by something, whether it's something that someone says, or if someone, even if it's directly or not directly towards you. If we feel triggered by something, this can also stem anxiety. To give an example of this, something which used to really give me anxiety and really set me off and make me feel really shitty about myself would be on social media, when I would see maybe someone living the life which I wanted to live, or a beautiful woman, you know, with my dream body, like the body which I would love to have and stuff like that. That used to really trigger me and set off anxiety within me. But something which my old life coach used to tell me was that when I see something on Instagram, or that I get triggered by something, that someone's living the life or has the thing which I want, then instead of blaming that person and, you know, starting to put that person down and yourself, saying like, oh, who is she to have that? Like, why? Like, who does she think she is to be living this lifestyle? I would literally find flaws in people to make myself feel better. But yeah, as I was saying, something my old life coach used to tell me is when you see something on social media and someone or whoever living the life that it is you want to live, or has the thing, has the car, has the boyfriend, whatever that you like, the idea of something which you feel like you would like in your life. So use it as an opportunity and look at it like how it is showing you what it is you really want in life. It's not there to put you down, it's there as a motivation. And something that I have done in the past and that I really, really, really recommend, because this will just like change your life. It's such a small thing, but it really changed my life, is if something is triggering you and you feel like you just can't get over it, or if it's making you upset, making you really put yourself down, or if you're purposely following people which are bringing up very controversial topics or ideas and things which you know that you don't agree with, but you're just following it for the drama and that feeling because it's triggering you and you're just like, oh, this person's making me so angry and stuff like that, delete them, block them, unfollow them, do it. Because a lot of people have very unhealthy relationships with their Instagram feed and social media feeds and whatever. But for me, I look at my Instagram feed now and I love going on Instagram and looking at everyone's posts and everyone's stories, because I have created my Instagram as my virtual vision board / like awesome Pinterest board kind of thing, where all the people I follow are people who motivate me, are people who are living the life which I want to work towards. Like, I follow a lot of people who are just traveling all over the world and working in these remote destinations, just living their best life, you know, going snorkeling and swimming every day with the dolphins and going on hikes every day and like having so much freedom. And that is something that I am working towards, just to have like all this freedom in my day to day and be able to travel and have the money to travel wherever I want, whenever I want. So when I see their posts, it used to maybe trigger me, but now I see it and I go, oh my God, that is amazing. I cannot wait till I can do that. And, you know, I really embody that and I feel that and I know that it's going to happen one day. So yeah, that is something I definitely recommend, is to unfollow and block anyone who triggers you. Do not go on their profile. This could be certain influencers or exes or people that you don't like, or even if it's a friend that you feel like you can't really unfollow because they'll notice and whatever, there is an option on Instagram to just, I can't remember what it's called, but it's something, if you do like a drop down box on something, you can choose the option to hide their posts from your feed. So then you don't have to actually look at their stuff. So you're still technically following them, you're just not looking at their stuff. So that's a really great idea if you have a family member or a friend who you like feel compelled to follow, but like, you know, we don't need to see their stuff. So yeah, that is a very small tip, but life-changing. And another thing, when I was talking about then, or just before, about feeling triggered by people, for example, if someone is triggering you at work and you have this really awful coworker who's just purposely, you feel like she's just purposely out to get you, or, you know, she's just doing, or whoever is just doing things that upset you, or not doing things and it's just frustrating you, and whatever it is. Well, firstly, I'll just start off by saying, when people are expressing themselves in a certain way, they are just projecting onto you their own problems. Hurt people. And I love that saying because it is so, so true. So because of that, these people are just projecting onto you, because there's all sorts of reasons, but it is important to not let that get to you. And if it is getting to you, then this actually stems much, much deeper than that. Because we can easily fester in this feeling of anger, hurt, and frustration, blaming the other person and thinking, if they just acted differently or wasn't such a mole of a person, then I wouldn't be feeling this way. And we can get in this blaming game of just blaming them, like, oh, it's all their fault. They're the reason I'm feeling this way. If they just didn't do that, they're such an awful person. Like, why would they do that? Blah, blah, blah. Festering in this, this is actually something that stems much, much deeper than that other person hurting us. And it actually stems all the way down to when we were a child not getting our needs met. And this is just a projection now of an unmet need that we need to deal with ourselves. An example of this is when you get angry and frustrated, and you need to ask yourself, what is it that I'm actually wanting right now? Or am I wanting attention? Am I wanting love? Am I wanting to be heard? Am I wanting to be validated, to be seen, to feel safe? Am I wanting, to just get them to understand me? What this is actually telling us. And as frustrating as it is to feel these emotions, it's actually so beautiful because it is teaching us a lesson. What you need to do is look at these, and instead of trying to make the other person do that for you, you can actually give yourself this love and attention rather than searching for it externally. And that is how we heal these wounds. And that is how we can deal with this sort of anxiety when it is feeling triggered by certain people, which we can't take out of our lives. Because I definitely believe if you can take something which triggers you or something that is not serving you out of your life, then do it. But if it is something which you unfortunately cannot remove from your life for whatever circumstance that you might be in, look at this and do this practice of asking yourself, what need am I trying to meet right now? What am I wanting right now? Once you know what that is and you have that awareness around it, you can then give yourself this need and meet this need for yourself. And the reason I say it's from when you were a younger child is maybe when you were a child, you had unmet needs, like maybe you didn't feel loved from your parents, or you didn't get that validation from them, or there wasn't much of an embrace, or maybe you went through some childhood trauma which deeply affected you, which in turn has resulted in, as an adult, we overcompensate for things. So for example, if you were a young child and you were constantly being put down to being told that your opinion was wrong, and that no, you're wrong, I'm the adult, I'm right, stuff like that, you might hate to be proven wrong as an adult, and you might hate being told no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, and you might rebel in a way and we overcompensate, and it's like, oh, hang on, no, you don't tell me what to do, no, I can do what I want. And this is when it can turn unhealthy as well, because we're overcompensating. And something that we don't realize and we really like awareness around in our day-to-day lives on a daily basis is that our destructive behaviors have to do with our inner children, and most specifically our unmet needs of those inner children. And when we feel ourselves do something in a destructive way, like a destructive behavior which is out of alignment or not what we should be doing, we might be really quick to judge ourselves and be like, why did I do that? Oh my God, I cannot believe I did that. Who am I to do? And just get so frustrated with yourself. But when we realize that there is a good reason for everything, and we start to peel back the layers, then we see that there is an unmet need, and that there is a rupture in the system. And now as an adult, you're trying to repair that unmet need by trying to get your needs met externally. And what we need to do with this, I won't go too much into this podcast. How we heal this unmet need is to reparent ourselves. And by reparenting ourselves, we give ourselves and our inner children the nourishment that they did not receive as a child. So another example of how an unmet childhood need can show up as adults is you were a child and you felt like you didn't receive that much love until you became a victim of something, because maybe as a young child, the only way they would receive love is if they, express this victimhood to their parents. So if you were being a victim as a young child, then you might find that as an adult, you are repeating this pattern and being the victim, and that everything's your fault and blah, 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 until you get the love that you desire. Or another example of this is people pleasing. If you had to really do a lot of things for people, like do all the things for your parents or loved ones, family members, friends, like have to do things for people in order to receive love, this pattern will also carry out in your adulthood as well, where you might feel like you're constantly trying to people please to receive validation and love. But all of these ways that we're trying to receive love externally is unsustainable. And we need to learn and reparent ourselves and learn to give ourselves this love and unmet need that we're craving. Like I said, I won't go too much into that in this podcast, but if it is something that you're interested in, please let me know and I'll definitely create a podcast on this in the future. So another great tactic that we can do to help cope and manage this anxiety when you feel it being stemmed from triggering situations is to try and remove yourself from the situation and look at it from a bird's eye view. Look at everything that's going on and you will realize that you're actually creating feelings and fake scenarios and assumptions in your head. We cause our own anxiety. So by taking yourself out of the situation and looking at it from this larger perspective, you will see things don't have to be the way they are. And I know that this is easier said than done, but this is something which can make you feel a little bit better. And another thing which I found almost quite a little bit of like a closure feeling for myself about in the past when I used to experience anxiety is knowing that majority of the population experience anxiety. I think the statistics are, I think it's like 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men experience anxiety and go through anxiety in their day-to-day lives. And just knowing that, I don't know why, but and it might or may not be this way for you, but when I first heard that, when I was experiencing and going through my darkest days of depression and anxiety, it made me feel a little bit better about myself. And I think that's because when I was in that moment, I always felt like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? Why do I feel this way? No one feels this way. Why do I feel this way? It made me feel better knowing, okay, I'm not the only one. There's people with me. People feel this as well. And it almost felt like a little bit of this, I don't know if union's the right word, but it felt good to know that I was not alone. So hopefully that might give you a little bit of closure and that feeling as well. Another way, which might not be something that you may expect to help cope with the anxiety is, well, before I go into that, I first want to say something to lead into this is the famous saying or quote, what we resist persists. What we resist persists. So when you experience anxiety and you're trying to resist it and push it down, and you start to get the sensations in your body, like, that might be your heart pounding, or you just feel it in your gut and it hurts, or wherever it is that you feel it and whatever sensations that come up in your body around anxiety. A lot of the times we'll just try resist it and go, no, I don't want to feel that. Or you might just be like really hard on yourself and be like, oh my God, like, oh, why am I feeling that? Stop feeling it. Stop it. And I mean, that's what I used to do at least. And, but something that I'm learning through this certification program that I'm doing is to actually be with that sensation. If your heart's pounding, just stop for a moment and just feel into your heart. Be with that pain. Just be with that pain and breathe into it. Don't resist it. Don't try and take it away. And when I say be with it, I don't mean like be with it in the sense of where just keep feeling anxious and keep feeling that anxiety. Just be with the pain, that physical sensation, feeling that you're feeling in your body. Just sit with it. Notice and start to digest it a little bit more. Like, what else are you noticing? What else is coming up with that pain? Maybe you're not breathing properly, and maybe you're taking very shallow breaths. Maybe from your chest you're feeling it in your throat as well, very constricted. Maybe your tummy is starting to turn and you feel those like butterfly, the not good kind butterfly feelings, or maybe you're feeling that pain. Whatever it is, and it sounds weird to say sit with the sensations and actually be with them because they're obviously not nice feelings, but when we sit with them and we start to have awareness, this is where mindfulness comes in. And by having awareness, it is such a beautiful tool to have, because by having that awareness, every time it comes up, you can begin to notice it. And when you begin to notice it and have awareness around it is when you can start to go through the process of dealing with it and coping with it more and more. So when you sit with this pain and you breathe into it, eventually the body will figure itself out and diminish the pain on its own without you needing to try and do anything. All you need to do is sit with the pain. Just sit with it. And if it's not going away, start to give yourself compassion. Because, your body is amazing. Your body is a temple. You are more than, you're more than your physical body. You are your soul. You are beautiful. You're amazing. And instead of being so harsh on your body, your body has got you to where you are now. Your body has got you through all of the trauma in your life. Your body has done nothing but try to keep you safe. So give compassion to that pain. Give compassion to yourself, because you are not the anxiety. You are not the pain. You are not the traumatizing event. You are not any of that. And as I said earlier on, there is so much beauty in this. Another thing on that as well is by going into your body, this also means you're not thinking about all of those negative thoughts and assumptions, and you're not allowing your mind to start racing and going on that, downward spiral that it goes on. You're just being with your body, and then eventually the pain will diminish. Or you can then go through that reparenting process as well of asking those pain points. Okay, where are you coming from? And a lot of the time you might just get this feeling of, oh my God, this is coming from my 4-year-old self, or this might be coming from my 18-year-old self. And then ask yourself, okay, what happened? And then if it was a traumatizing event, give yourself that love and attention that you were actually craving in that moment. So yeah, I definitely recommend doing that instead of trying to push it down and maybe distract ourselves by going on social media or emotional eating, drinking, sex, or any other avoiders that our brain does to try and keep us safe. Just sit with the pain. Try it out and let me know how you go. So by feeling into these visceral sensations, you begin to dissociate anxiety being who you are to now only being this physical sensation. And you start to say, okay, I am feeling anxiety, I am feeling anxiousness right now, but I am not anxious, and I do not identify with being an anxious person. I am only experiencing it. And that's what I'm talking about by having that awareness, is you just start, like I said, you start to get out of your head and into your body, and you go, okay, these are just physical sensations coming up. This is not who I am. They're just physical sensations trying to keep me safe. But you can literally talk to your body, and it might feel weird the first few times you do it, but you can talk to your body and say, okay, thank it. Thanking your body is one of the most amazing things you can do. And say, okay, thank you. Thank you for trying to keep me safe. I appreciate you. I am grateful for you, but you don't need to keep me safe anymore. I got this. And if it doesn't feel true to you, then try what I mentioned earlier about saying, okay, thank you for trying to keep me safe right now, body, but I'm in the process of being a confident, amazing person, and I'm in the process of not needing you anymore. Then after you have the awareness around this, you can then also start to ask yourself, how can I turn this feeling and sensation or situation into a lesson? And what is this trying to teach me? Anxiety is merely just stuck emotion in the body. And other ways that this can be cured and worked through as well is by moving the body, allowing that stuck energy to move out of the body. And this can be through dancing, through breath work. Breath work is an amazing tool. And once I start going further along in my breathwork certification course, then I'll be teaching you more and more about breathwork. And if you want to check me out on my Instagram page, which is coaching_with_Emily, when I start going through the program more, I'll be posting breathwork things on my IGTV that you can do and follow along with me to help remove that stuck energy in the body and start processing this stuff. And another thing I'm going to mention as well is to not push yourself. Don't do anything which doesn't feel right in your body. Like how I said earlier, by sitting with that pain, if it feels too scary for you right now, just take baby steps and honor how your body is feeling. And on that note, I did have notes here of more things that I wanted to cover and different kinds of anxiety and stuff like that. But I'm sort of feeling that I should just stop it there because I feel like everything else that I want to talk about is probably good for another podcast. Otherwise, I probably going to be talking for too long. like anxiety is a huge topic, and I could literally talk about this for days and days because there's so many different forms of anxiety and so many people have different sensations and feelings and emotions and get triggered in different ways. So there is literally a million things we could talk about on it. But at the moment, I'm feeling called to just stop it there because I feel like I've said quite a lot. But please, please, please let me know how this landed with you, if this helped you in any way, or even if there's any constructive criticism or improvements that you can recommend for me, because I am definitely open for improvement and making this more valuable for you and other listeners in the future as well. If you're interested in reaching out to me, you can find me on my Instagram page, which I mentioned earlier. My Instagram handle is coaching_with_Emily. But yeah, send me a message, or if you have any questions about what I spoke about, anything that you'd like me to touch on further in future podcasts, or any future podcast recommendations, please let me know, because that would be really great and really help me a lot. But yeah, I think that is it for today. I hope that you have a absolutely beautiful rest of your day or evening wherever you are in the world, and yeah, I love you and I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you in my next podcast. Bye everyone.